Hey, today I want to talk to you about looking before you leap. Looking before you leap. I know that a lot of us are looking at where we are in our careers and deciding whether or not we should stay or go, or if now is a time to take that leap of faith into something else and transition. I just want you to consider a couple things before you take that leap. I just want you to look at a couple things before you leap. My name is Jennifer Mitchell Early. I help individuals and teams achieve organizational and personal success, and this is Leadership Matters. And what I want to say is that when you're looking for these positions and you're looking before you're leaping, or you're looking to make the leap into something else, is that sometimes we don't know enough about what we don't know to know whether or not it's going to be a fruitful jump. That it's going to be a place where we have imagined. A lot of times, I'll just use me for example. I know there are some things that coming up as a person, as Jennifer, I thought, oh, this is going to be great because of blah, blah, blah. I've imagined it to be one way. And then I get there and I'm like, wait, hold on. Wait, no, I didn't see this. I didn't see this coming. And then I have to deal with it. I want you to be proactive. I want you to think about those things beforehand. There are going to be some positions that you get in, especially those entry-level positions, where you may not find it fulfilling, where your hands are tied. I've been on projects before where the client only wanted X, Y, and Z. I have been in, let me share this with you. I've been in debates. Not that it was me debating, but I have observed debates, let me put it that way, where a team member was charged with doing a training for a group of employees who were out in the field who, the client was like, they just really need to know about this particular button on the software. Like, when they push this button, what does this button do? Where will it take them? Why is this button important? So forth and so on. And my coworker, who was older than me, who had a technical background, had worked in, which really was a benefit for her. I wish I had this kind of background, because when you have an IT background, especially when you're working in technical projects, it gives you such a great base and foundation, right, to work. And then you kind of know what some of the challenges are working with IT. And for those of you who've ever worked with IT, you know what I'm talking about. And my coworker was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, what? Did she just say no? Right? Like, let me grab my popcorn. Let me kiki over here silently while I'm watching this go down. So our client, very, very sweet, was really like, well, for the scope of the project, for those of you who are not familiar with the word scope, please familiarize yourself with it ASAP, especially if you're looking into contract positions and training and development, even if you're looking at FTE, because your scope defines the projects and the limitations and constraints on the project, so forth and so on. And so the client was like, well, the scope of the project really is we're only really focused on that one button. And, we just want to explain why in the field that button is important and why. So mind you, I took out my popcorn, watching everything. And so my coworker was like, I get that. I get the button is important, but you have to put the button in context in the software, because otherwise, the button loses its importance and it doesn't make sense when you get to step 3 and 4 and 5 and blah, 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 blah. So after the client left the room, because I was assigned on this project to work in tandem with my coworker, she turns to me and she says, Jennifer, do you understand what I'm saying? I was like, I do understand what you're saying. But listen, if you want to pay me X amount of dollars to talk about a button and you're okay with that and everybody else is okay with that, who am I to complain? I'm okay with that. And she was like, no, I'm not okay, because that's not going to solve the problem. And it's going to be a bigger problem. It's going to convolute the problem that exists, because you don't put it in context. You don't tell them, everything around the entire package, the software package they need to use and why they need to use it and what instance the button would come to be relevant. She goes on and on and on and on. I'm going to say I was new to that project, right? I was making great money on that project. And Was I using my full capacity at that time on the project? No. Was I using my entire skill set? No. Was I really giving them everything I had to give? No. Were they happy? They were very happy with my work product. Was I happy at the time? Yeah. I mean, I was making great money. I was working on a great team. I was learning, a little bit of something, most of which I came there knowing, but I didn't have any complaints at that time. Probably about a year later, I went back to my coworker. I knocked on her cube, like, hey, do you have a minute? She turned around. She said, sure. I said, I owe you an apology. I want to apologize to you because I didn't know then what I know now, and you were right. It doesn't matter how much money they're paying me to do this. It doesn't matter that this is what they think is sufficient. What matters is the end product going to do what we needed to do for the employee / participant / end user? And at that time, the answer was no, and you were right to fight it. And she fought it, and she developed the entire I want to call it a program. It's not a program. She developed the entire curriculum for that software and how the employee was to use it out in the field, with the inclusion of the button, but everything else that was imperative for them to be able to do their job seamlessly, safely, and efficiently, which was the point, right? Which is always the point in what we do. I say all this to say that you're not always going to be in a position where you can advocate for your participant, or that your advocacy is successful, or that you feel like you're giving something your all, or that it even makes sense. Okay? That's going to happen more often than not, that you get something and you design something, especially the more you get into it, the more you develop it, the more opportunity you have to pilot your programs and see how participants respond to it and clients respond to it. And you get to see the gap. I spend a lot of time out in the trenches when I can, out in the field, or if I can't be out in the field, simulating or finding simulations that are close to what I'm looking for. Because it gives me an opportunity of perspective and to be able to think and consider things that I would not have otherwise, and not only just to take one person's perspective, even if it's my client, on how it should go or what it entails, okay? Because there's a variety of ways that people do things, and even in the same industry, in the same role, as much as I talk about that being the case for training and development, that's the case all around. So I want you to consider what you're going to do if you get there and all that glitters is not gold. Because you're going to get there, and I can tell you now, mark the date and the time that you saw this video, you're going to find that all that glitters is not gold. And what will you do? Will you be disheartened? Will you still want to be a trainer? What will you do to ensure that your participants get what they need? And get this, you get what you need to. What are you going to consider before you make that leap that will prepare you for getting in a position that might be mundane? What I do every day is tedious. Listen, last week, I spent the entire week teaching myself math again. I spent a whole, career in education and getting my degrees trying not to take math. I have a bachelor's degree and I have 2 master's degrees, and I'm 6 credits or 6 classes short of a 3rd master's degree, all without taking any math other than stats. Okay? I work very hard at finding workarounds in curriculum so I didn't have to take math. And I spent the last week tediously trying to find X and Y coordinates. I can't tell you, I don't even remember doing that in, elementary school, junior high, high school, none of that. I don't remember any of it. My daughter laughs at me all the time. I can't even pronounce some of these dang on theorems, okay? I don't know, hypotenuse, whatever it is, I don't know it. I have to go back, find it, reteach it to myself so that I can write it in my curriculum that I'm developing for someone else to facilitate it. Yeah, I mean, I can find problems with answers. Anybody can do that. But I need to be able to work it out so I can include the computation in case my facilitator doesn't know math the way that I didn't know math. That's what a good developer and a good designer does. They make it so that whoever stands up in front of that class looks like an expert because everything they need is already in the leader's guide or the facilitator's guide. But I'm gonna tell you, last week I wasn't a happy camper. No. Last week I had to take several moments to myself to breathe and regroup and get it together and come back to it. You know, the worst part of development for me is doing a facilitator's guide. I have a facilitator's guide for 6 hours of a course that's about 100 pages. Just the facilitator's guide is very tedious work. It's very it's tedious in that it's highly detailed. It's very detailed oriented, and I've done videos about, you know, being a researcher, being very detail oriented as a trainer. But there have been times where I'm like, you know what, I want to do something else. Maybe I'll go back to management. You know, remember when you used to manage a bank? But I was still teaching my employees things. I still was doing training because you know what? That's really what's in my heart is education. Whether it be training and development, whether it be educating people. I can't help if I'm online on social media and somebody's like, well, what do you think about this? I go find the answer. I go find the website. I go find the link. I tell them who they need to talk to. Here's the phone number. Here's all the information. You know why? Because that's who I am. At the heart of it all. That's my passion. That's my purpose. And if your passion, your purpose is education, and you're deciding that, you know, you're going to move from one venue, whether it be the classroom, to another, be it corporate America, or, you know, corporate America from an FTE to a contract position, your passion, that's not going to change. But how that passion is articulated, most certainly will. And I just want you to be prepared to know that because I love to work autonomously. There are other people who don't, who like the interaction, who like to go into the office day to day and talk to people and, you know, getting into conference rooms or sit side by side. That shadowing drives me crazy. But there are people who love it. And if you're a person who loves the interaction, the day to day, who loves getting your hands in it, who wants to talk to a client and really flush out the problem, who likes the consulting piece of it, that's what I mean by knowing the role that you want to pursue. Knowing that role in and out, knowing what that role looks like in different environments, to know that's what you really want to do. That's what I mean about looking before you leap. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's a long one. It's going to be split in two. I just try to give you all the information. I'm already a fast talker. I'm not going to try to kill myself or have you pausing to go back to see if you can catch it again by talking even faster. So this is where we are, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Share the video. Thanks for continue to reach out. Let me know if there's any other questions or comments or concerns that you have, things that I can address, even for everybody else. Because if you have the question, someone else has it too. Something else I can speak to in a video. All right, I'll see you in my next one.